The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time, because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Let me make sure I got my stuff. I don't want no background music on. Blessings, everybody. Welcome to Primetime Home Buyers. Welcome, Rumble. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, YouTube. Yes, and you're here with your host, Lashley, the Primetime Home Buyer Team Lead. Yes. Hope you guys had a great holiday. Had to take some time off, but I was still active. God be the glory. I turned 40, y'all. Yes. My birthday just passed, 11/29. Shout out to me. Had to take some time to myself. Really, not really. Still was keeping myself busy. So I just wanted to say happy birthday to me. Yeah. Okay. Let's get ready. Excuse me, y'all. Let's get ready. So today we have a great topic, and I want to talk about this today because we have a Facebook group, as I told you guys, and we also have some instant chats. So there has been a few members who have been active, and they do invest in tax liens and tax deeds. And one of the members, we're talking about how he felt like he was rused a little bit about from Arizona tax lien sale. And I want to get into that because hybrid tax lien / tax deed states can be confusing. And when you have that going on, such as Florida, with a bid down method, that can be confusing. So that's one thing that I didn't really go into detail a lot over the last couple of years is focusing on the bidding practices, because usually most county have typical premium bidding practice, which consists of the taxes that's due, the penalties, the interest, and whatever else fees has been acquired up to the day of the sale, typically. And then you start to bid up from there. Now, the first thing I do want to show you is a resource. I do have a resource on our website that is completely free, just for people who just go on the website. And the reason why I shared this is because I know that bidding can be confusing, especially when it comes to bid down states. So this is bidding strategies and approaches. This is a free PDF that we do have on our website. Okay, so you don't have to sign up or anything. All you have to do is just go on the home page, scroll down to our frequent asked questions. And if you have, want to read that, I advise you to start there, especially for the ones who are new. So we talk about the tax lien certificate, what it is, what's an over-the-counter investment method. And actually, Arizona is an over-the-counter state as well. So this is a great method for people who want to enter passively to do so. But even when you enter passively, such as the state of Arizona, you want to be wary, because if they have a longer redemption period greater than 6 months to 1 year, this is something that you need to be aware of. And I mentioned that a lot of times. If there is a 3-year redemption period, i.e. Arizona, okay, and you purchase the tax lien on that first year, okay, that means that it's 2 that's going to be coming up back to back. So typically that state will rebid that actual parcel because they are new tax lien, but most likely they give you first dibs. So it is up to you, the investor, to communicate. You have to communicate with the county about these special procedures. Okay, never be afraid to ask questions. All they can say is we can't give you the law, but they can give you procedures so you can be safe. So this is a particular a resource that we have for you for free. So I would like you guys to take a chance and read it if you can. But then we're going to move on because I want you guys to know that I'm not just here, trying to get y'all to join the platform, because I want you guys to be well informed and not go through this particular situation that we're going to be kind of talking about, because I kind of got a whiff. Now I understand what he was saying when he was saying that he didn't have much interest in coming back from the tax certificate, and that can happen in a bid down state. Okay, so let's start with the basics. We're going to go into two counties in Arizona today, so y'all can read specifically what those counties say about bidding. Okay, because a lot of this information that you need to know before you invest is actually on a county level and on a state level. This is why we went into how to research law. Once you know where to find the law, you'll be able to cross reference it and make it make sense. Okay, this is for your safety. Okay, so we already know the first thing you need to do is find out as much as you can about the state. What type of state? Now, you choose the state based on your investment needs that we kind of talked about last week, which is a tax lien state versus a tax deed state. Then you get into, do they offer over the counter, or do you want to participate in an auction? And then you move forward from there. But before we go into what I used to do, dig in due diligence, which is looking into the property information, you want to know about what is the actual county registration, what they require you for registration. We talked about that, and their bidding methods. Okay. So let me see. Keep in mind when you're looking at this bidding method, these are the concepts that you want to keep in the back of your head. Not only that it may have a special bidding method, but it may have a certain amount of extra costs and fees that may be involved that you don't know. So we're going to show you an example of that. And I think it's a Piedmont County. They have a few extra fees in their actual process. So there's a good chance if the home doesn't redeem, or if it does redeem, well, if it does redeem, that you won't receive much interest. And you end up probably losing a little bit more. We're going to get into it because I was thinking about it. I was like, Dag, if you pay all these fees and you bid yourself down and the person redeemed, you end up just getting the amount that was owed for the taxes that you paid for. So let's get into that now. Mitigating risk factors. Okay. Before we get into Arizona, there are a lot of things that can go wrong, not only just bidding errors, not understanding the bidding method, the liquidation of the property, the timeline of the liquidation of the property, or let's step back, the liquidation of the actual tax certificate. Are you going to redeem? This is the things you want to keep in mind. When I say liquidation, meaning are you going to get some money back? Usually you invest, a lot of people invest because they want to get some type of monetary gain back. But with tax liens, there is a time frame, there's a waiting period. Okay, so this is what I want you guys to know. This is not pull it in, put it in, and pull it right back out. That's not how tax liens usually work. So you want to keep that in mind when being able to liquidate this. This is not something that you can just call a county and say, hey, I want to just return this tax lien because I need the money. This is something that you want to see all the way through. Another issue, as we say, is inadequate research. I continue to talk about this because this investment avenue is not 1, 2, 3 easy peasy. And I have been stressing that. But what I have stressed is once you get the method down, you are straight. You can apply it to any state. Once you understand the key elements of doing your research, looking for what the county wants from you, registration requirements, maybe how much you have to pay down, because sometimes they want you to put a certain amount of monies down to participate, as well as where to find your resources in that particular state, because sometimes you can find all your resources on one particular website, i.e. example, Maryland, they have one particular state website where you can get a lot of information. You can get not the tax assessor information because that's more so on a county level, but you can get the property records as well as get to see the property mapping and other historical information on one website. You see, so you want to know where's your resources at before you invest in anything. Okay. So, another thing, as I mentioned, title issues. This was something that we kind of got into before. You want to make sure that at least before you go to the tax lien sale, you can be able to view the deed. You can review a deed abstract that is in the public records. You will be able to do that. Most counties have that online. You don't have to be. Once you start looking through the deed information and you seeing the transferability, some of the concepts that we teach you, and you seeing consecutiveness, you can kind of breathe like, okay, I see that the homeowners has been transferred consecutively. I'm not seeing any flaws. Using some of the skills that we teach you, you kind of could go in and be like, okay, the title search, if it's done by a conventional company, it may be perfect. Okay, it may be perfect because as I gave you an example, I did my self title search on a particular property that I invest in, and then when my lawyers foreclosed, I wanted to see the title abstract that he did because I wanted to see was it different, and literally it seemed like he had the same information I had. So I was hoping that he did it, by the books and went as far, but it seems like it was the same information. So in that situation, that's why it's good to have these skills. So title issues can be a risk factor when it comes to these tax liens. You got to understand the person is actually a debtor. Okay. If the person has taxes that's overdue on a property, why wouldn't they have something else that's overdue? Okay. So you want to be able to survive the lien process. Is yes. Okay. I'm looking back, as I say, my birthday just came, and then I'm looking at the program, and I'm cleaning some things up and doing some things. And I'm like, wow, I remember looking at this particular property at this time, because you look at your books and then you're like, wow, that was kind of like a long process. I had this property for a while. So you want to survive the process. Okay. Because like I said, sometimes, like for instance, when we get into Arizona, they have a 3-year redemption period. And if that's what you choose to deal with, then you have to have the stomach to deal with that. But as I always talk about Maryland is 6 months. I got a stomach for 6 months. Georgia is 1 year. I'm gonna build up a stomach for 1 year. Because just like you, I want to get a return too. I want to start moving forward. So if you feel like that, you have to deal with the particular state that can feed your need. Does that make sense? Okay. So surviving the lien, avoided HOAs. I have to say it. If you are big time and you want to deal with HOAs, God be the glory. But please avoid it at any cost. I have heard horror stories, especially just knowing as a tax lien investor, this is something that is new to some lawyers, new to title companies, or title companies are kind of like, because we talked about that. Just for instance, in Arizona, the homeowner has 2 years after that 3 years to come and redeem the property from you. So I would assume, and that's this, I have to verify by law, but common sense, that a title company will not insure the particular title of the property that you bought through the tax lien sale in Arizona for another 2 years after you purchase it, because they want to make sure that no one can come back and redeem. So these are some of the things you want to know, because if you're going to get that property, you end up getting a property, now you foreclose and you own it. It's the 4th year in, and you like, hey, I want to put a mortgage on here because I want to build. You can't put a mortgage on there because you can't get title insurance right now. So you have to have a plan A, plan B, and it has to be realistic. This is why you want to know as much as possible. So finding important information you need to know about the tax lien / tax deed state before you invest is imperative. Okay. So then you, as I say, keep in mind the redemption period. You want to move forward accordingly, and you want to move forward correctly. Some of these states have you do the actual notification. And if you don't know and you're just going in and like, hey, I'll just invest here because I know about the tax lien process, and then you didn't do your due diligence about the procedures after, like looking at the Treasury Department and say, or talking to the tax lien assessor's office or whoever is issuing that tax lien and say, hey, at the end of this procedure, according to here, you kind of just got to do a little research. It seems like I have to come back to you guys to put on record that, that it hasn't been redeemed, even though they know, but you have to come sometimes. And they're like, yeah, well, we'll do the notification to the homeowner. Or they'll say, no, you have to do the notification. And they'll tell you that in sometimes their guidelines on the registration, because I showed you that. I forgot what state it was. I was amazed. I think it was Iowa. I was like, oh my God, that's a lot. You have to be in contact with the homeowner before you even actually own it. I don't want to be in contact until I'm about to foreclose. I don't want to start doing all of that, but whatever. So low return rates. Now, this is the highlight point of this particular live. When you're dealing with a bid down state, if you don't know the law of that state, you may end up having 0% interest rate in that property, meaning that you will get the money back when a person redeems of the particular amount of taxes that due, but you won't get the interest because you bid down. Okay. So we're gonna go into those two particular counties in Arizona, and we're gonna read the way they wrote that up because it can be confusing if you don't know. You're like, what are they talking about? No interest plus $10 fee and this type of fee. Yeah, I think Arizona is very tricky state. And my best advice, if you're going to invest in Arizona, make sure that you're going to be able to redeem. That's the only win game that I can see with Arizona because of its bid down methods and the extra fees. Just to kind of give you a heads up. So low returns is an actual risk and something we need to pay attention to. Competitive bidding. You're going to either be in it to win it or not. Do not freeze up when you're at the auction like Lashley did the first time, looking around like everybody like this. I'm like, it's like, you won. I'm like, oh, Lord, I missed that. So just understand what competitive bidding is, what to actually possibly expect. Go in there, headstrong, 4 or 5 properties, ready to start bidding, and don't go to bidding wars and you get too happy and don't have the money because you may be locked out the next auction. They will do that. Okay. That's why some actual counties in particular states will have you submit a budget. So that's something that we went over in the past as well. So you also want to know the property value, especially when you're dealing with a deed state. Okay. Sometimes these states want you to bid and you'll end up winning on the auction, and then you have to pay a certain percentage of the fair market value. And yes, and transfer fees. Yep. If you didn't read it and you didn't pay attention to what the requirements is in that particular state, then you get to that point and they say, oh, well, your bid was $2,000 plus the 2% of the fair market value and this fee and that fee, transfer fee. You're going to be like, what? It throws you off. So we already know when you're coming into a tax deed sell, you're going to definitely come in there at a higher value of investment versus a tax lien. So just keep that in mind when you're going to them tax deeds. At least coming in with 20,000. I'm just being honest, and I mean 20,000 may get you one good one, or possibly two, depending on the state. I'm just being honest. Okay. So pay attention also to the economic factors, what may happen in a particular area that you're invested in. We always want to look for areas that's actually growing. You can literally look on the Wikipedia page of a county and see, because they put some of that stuff, the potential growth, how much it grew, or just Google it and it'll be a reference page. So if you see significant growth in a small amount of time, this may be a place that will prove beneficial for you because it may yield equity for you real fast. Do you know what I'm saying? So once the price value go up, people moving in, things like, I lived it. Okay. I was in a town and turned to a city. You just have to deal with the city life. Okay. So very important, property location. That's a big risk factor. You don't it can be so many different issues that could come up from the location, not only just environmental, but social, economic issues, where the area is kind of too run down. I know you want to do urban development and things, but sometimes you may have to hold on to that property and slowly build it up. Because I gotta be honest, because we talk about some risk factors. There have been people or developers, especially when I was in Newark. I mean, it was this one building that they just kept selling it to different people. And every time somebody would start building it up, making it nice, fix the windows, here come the kids, come breaking the windows, spray painting back over the paint. It was like it was ridiculous. That building, I think most recently, hopefully, because I haven't been in Jersey in the last 3 years. The last time I went there, it was a new owner. It was looking nice. I was like, okay, what is it gonna look? So sometimes you have that issue, so let's keep it in mind. Location, I'm just giving you one example, okay? Um, what else? Property damage. If it's too much damage, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Sometimes you can get a home that's condemned. That's why you want to go to the zoning department. That is one of the pre things, pre enemy, excuse me. That is the pre-research requirements. Let me use the right words that you would use when you're doing your due diligence. You can talk to the zoning office about any property. It's so sad, but it's the truth. You don't have to be the owner. You can put a little bit in there and say, "Hey, is this a residential?" And they're like, "No, it's commercial. This, that, and the third." It's the truth, and this is good for us as tax lien investors because we learn the key elements that we need to invest. Okay. So what else? So we talked about the environmental liabilities, laws and statutes could change. This is why we go into laws and statutes. So in extreme circumstances, the best thing that I always suggest is have a lawyer on deck. Okay, always have a lawyer on deck. That is something that I think is very important. Have a real estate specialist in the area. There are tax lien specialists in your area. I would assume so because in my particular area where I invest in Maryland, it's like little quaint town. They have about 3 or 4 good big time lawyers who call themselves experts, so you want to make sure that you have an expert on your team so you can prepare. You never know. You want to ask questions. Find where you can get consultations at, okay? So now we're going to get into a little bit of reading into the county of Arizona. Now we're going to use Arizona because this was a particular place that the member from Primetime Home Buyers was inquiring about. Now, I will if he would like to share his story, he would. But the gist of the story is that he invested in a few tax liens and he don't have like probably less than 1% in interest, or he says something about 0% interest. And it will make sense if it's a situation like this. So we're gonna get into this. This is Gala County in Texas. Okay, I mean, sorry, I do apologize. Arizona, because Texas was another place that I wanted to get into. So Gala County, they have it once a year. So they should be having another one coming up in 2024. So you inquire with the county. Now, what I wanted to get into particularly is some of the things that they talked about here. It says each year you may call this office by the second week of January. We always, it's coming up. We will be able to tell you who is the publisher, is the date of the sale. You may then contact the publisher and make arrangement to purchase the newspaper. So we already know that they put it in a newspaper a couple of weeks early so you can start getting the idea of what particular properties. And they do this in each state. So they gave you an idea of the newspaper. Galley County is a small county, and we have less than 3% um, privately owned land. Our collection rate is 98.8 prior to advertising. So basically, they have a big redemption rate here. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind. Do you want the property? Well, you have less than a 0.2% chance, 2.2% chance to get property in this county because they redeem high. There's counties like that in Jersey. Jersey state, that state in itself is known to redeem. The people pay their taxes. They probably pay it late, but they pay it. Okay. So this is the same thing here. But this is why you want to be careful because when you look at the practices, you're like, okay, so would I get interest then? If I'm helping invest in this county, let's see what happens when you read into what they say. The tax lien sale takes about 3 hours. This includes time for answering questions and your time to complete the various forms. We do allow a pre-register registration at 8 a.m. to 8:45 in the morning of the sale. So they do it in person, and you got to do it the morning of the sale, not online, because some counties let you do it online, and they have like expiration time. Excuse me, guys, and drink some coffee. So if you are a successful bidder for the tax lien, you will pay us in cash or cashier's check at the time of the sale. So you can't get a wire. You got to ask the county specifically. They don't say can't wire money. And the reason why I'm saying that, because you want to know how to pay if you win. Okay, you bid on the interest rate, not on the amount of taxes on the property. What does that mean? Okay, this is what you want to highlight. When you see something like this, you're going to say, wait a minute. This is remarkably different from the normal tax lien process. Usually, as I told you, you'll start with the amount, which is the premium bid, the amount that's due on a taxes, interest, penalties, and any fees that's due if it's applicable, and then you bid from there. After that, any type of interest based on the state's interest rate, you can acquire. Okay. Now, in here, it's saying, well, you're not doing that because you'll start, let's say, for instance, what I told you, the premium bid, 5,000. So you're going to say, oh, 550, 5,500. 6,000, 6,500. You see what I'm saying? Going up in 500 increments. That's at a typical tax lien sale. But it says, I ain't mad at them because I make typos too. You see how the county made me feel good? It says you bid on an interest rate, not on the amount of taxes on the property. Because I was looking at my PowerPoint, I was like, look at that typo. Look at that. The county did it too. I'm gonna pick with the county. Okay, so your bid is on the interest rate, not the amount of the taxes on the property. What does that mean? So some way, somehow, you should be hearing them say, okay, the entry interest is 16%. I'm just giving you an example. And then is you and 10 other people. Somebody be like 10%. And then you be like 8%. And then somebody like, I don't want to go past 8%. 5%. And then you be like 0%. Okay, you won the bid. Okay. That means that you have 0% that you will get back on this tax lien. Now, Texas is not like Florida. What I will give Florida, even though they are complicated, and we went into that because they'll read basically the tax lien you invest in will advance to a deed in Florida, and then they'll do a whole separate auction that you have to get into. Okay, yeah, Florida do their thing, but if they do bid down processes in Florida, they have a 5% minimum. Meaning, if you get to 0%. 5% will be the least that you will get back. And some other states do that, but not in Texas. So when you bid down here in Texas to 0, you bid down. I keep talking about Texas. Why do I keep talking about Texas? I do apologize. I look down my paper. Arizona, I do apologize. Because I wanted to do Arizona, Texas, and Maryland, but I'm just going to do Arizona today. And I may talk a little bit because I have Texas here too. That's why I keep talking about Texas, because it's like, talk about Texas. But no, I'm going to kind of focus in on Arizona just because it's so complicated. Okay. So you understand the difference of the bidding? Okay. This is a real bidding breakdown, because if you go in and you go bidding and then you're like, okay, I won and I want to pay this amount. They'd be like, no, this is this. And then at the end, when you think you got good interest in it, you don't. Because look, you're going to pay the taxes that's due. If the taxes that's due is $4,500, you're going to pay that. Okay. You're going to pay the penalties, everything. The same thing an average person will do after you win the 0%. But when it's time to redeem, it's time for the homeowner to get their property and pay you off, you get 0%. Okay, so I keep drilling that in because you want to know this before you put your money down. So in a state like this, I was like, well, I want a house that's been abandoned for a couple of years, like or something to that nature that I did my research that I know the owner is not alive. They don't have any pending wills. Um, and there's nothing levied on a property. You can simply do that research. And if you find those three criterias, okay, and you probably, okay, let me see this. Okay, the reason why I was about to say, if you are the third investor, you may be able to pay the other two investors off. Do you know what that means? Okay, let's get down to it. Now, another little complicated thing in Arizona. So you have 3 years to redeem. You were the first one to invest. Okay, so you got that first year. The next year, they have more back taxes. That is a whole nother certificate. You have to bid. You have to either call to get first dibs to pay if they allow you to do that, or sometimes the county will say, no, you have to go through the conventional bid method. Okay. Meaning that you're going to have to participate or put your bid in. You can do it over the phone or whatever. Now, you're going to try to stake your claim so you can have interest for 2 years. Okay. And the reason why I say that, because now when it comes to you or the other people who have interest in the property, because if that third year come and you don't get the actual third tax certificate, you have someone else that have interest in the property. They may bid down to 0% just like you, but they may have interest in that property. So for any one of you guys to actually end up with the property, you have to pay the person off. Now, if person who have interest in the first two, and then versus the person who have interest in the last one wants to say, hey, I want this property, the person who has seniority, which is the first investor, will be the one that can move forward. Do you understand? That's a blessing to be the first, but you will have to pay for that last tax certificate. And even if you get 0% interest, that's a good thing. You'll just be paying for the tax certificate. Does that make sense? Okay, on top of whatever procedures you have to do in Arizona, i.e., if it's a foreclosure, if it's a simple foreclosure action, which is a judicial process, or if it's a non-judicial process where you're going to do a title search, you know what I'm saying, get the title perfected, and then you will have a fee file, or not a fee file, I do apologize. You'll have a writ of possession done. Sometimes they need you to do that, if it's someone in the property. We just kind of making you think here of some things you may have to do. Tax liens and tax deeds are not a walk in the park, but once you got it, you got it. Okay, I promise you. So does that make sense? When we talk about bidding down on the interest, it is much different than doing a premium bidding. So I do hope that made sense to our primetime home buyer member who was talking to me, because I didn't understand what he was saying at first. And I was like, let me go back and look at Arizona. And I was like, oh, wow. So it's like basically he's not going to win any money back at this point. So now remember, they move on to say you do not become owner of this parcel. You are a you are a silent, I do apologize, silent lien holder. That's it. You're just a silent lien holder. You may not contact the owner or go to the property. Your transactions are held by this office. Okay. Now let's move on to a few fees. Okay. If you are a successful bidder, you will be charged $10 fee for each tax lien. You do not get this fee back when the property owner, it says when, not, it didn't say if, when the property owner redeems their property. Also, taxpayers information fee of $10 and a $30 recording fee on each certificate purchase, non-refundable. Why do you have to record the tax certificate? They trying to get some money here. Why would you have to record the tax certificate? You record the deed when you get it. I never really heard of you recording a tax certificate. I know sometimes you have to the tax assessor, after they sell you the tax certificate, they have to make the treasury's office aware. for that record, because I told you the Treasury's office is like the money man, the people who do all the process, the lawyers to be there in the Treasury office. But you see how special Arizona is. So I'm glad that the team member brought this up because it's good for me to go over this because I did go over Arizona, and it's actually located on YouTube. I'm going to show you the playlist for all the states breakdown. You have two ways to access all the state breakdown that we offer. Okay. So you see how much extra fees? Non-refundable. We tax lien sales. It says we tax lien sales that is open to the public. It says we tax lien sales. Look at that. Look at the county. Okay, look at the county. Listen, I'm cracking jokes on them because I was looking at my PowerPoint. I was fixing up my PowerPoint like that. Look at that typo. Look at that typo. We got the whole county website. Okay. Okay. We tax lien sale that is open to the public that has listed liens that can be purchased over the counter after the sale is final, or it can be purchased for $30 each year. Now, you need to figure out what they're talking about when it comes to it can be purchased $30 each year. I don't know if that's the consecutive tax lien sale that comes after that. You want to, or is that the fee that comes with it, post how much you got to pay for the tax lien? Okay. Then you also want to know what is the bid down requirements. Is it bid down on the over the counter? You want to ask that because if it's bid down, I'll be like 10%. Because if it's bid down over the counter, who else is bidding at the same time you bidding? I'll try it. I ain't gonna say 0%, especially in a state like this. You ain't gonna get nothing. So the books are closed from the 1st of January to the end of March each year to process the advertisement and the sales. Okay. So we know that right now, if you contact them the second week of January, you'll be able to um, go to the new. Actually, they showed you the newspaper. You can kind of contact the newspaper and then see when they're going to be listing it and start to do your due diligence then. If the owner has not redeemed your tax lien 3 years, see, 3 years after the first time offer for public sale, you may hire an attorney of your choice to start foreclosing. During our annual tax lien sale, the Treasury office will adhere to social distancing. Okay. Anyway, so I wanted to break that down, and this is actually the Treasury's office. Now, this information is located in the Galley Treasury's office. Sometimes this information is located at the tax assessor's office, so it's between two. You see, so now this is why you don't even when they sell it, the tax assessor's office don't have to let the Treasury's office know because they are the Treasury office that most likely host it. But what I don't understand is why do you have to get the tax lien certificate recorded? Maybe that's just they make it part of the record. So it can say like, hey, that owner defaulted, because that's not usually typical. Okay. So now we're going to move on into one more other county so we can get into just show you another example. Then you see the wording why I go over when I was going over county to county, because they word it differently. And then sometimes it just like, what? Just doesn't make sense. Okay. Now, this one is actually Piedmont County Treasury's office. And this is also in Arizona. Okay. Now, here, I went onto this website and I wanted to find out information about, I already did my research. Okay. Piedmont County Treasury office. Okay. Tax lien sale 2014. So this is the 2014 information. And they have a nice booklet. Some counties have booklets for you. They have a whole booklet and it's great. Read it. Take your time. Go in early. Find out if they do it yearly. You have 11 months to 10 months, okay? Because you want to start early. 10 months to look up everything you need. Law, all types of stuff. Look at the old tax lien list. Do a case study. Look up all the information about that old owner, which you can find when they got transferred. You want to do little case studies as well to build your skills of doing your due diligence. Does that make sense? That's why we did every single state for you guys, so y'all can use it as case studies. It didn't mean that you wanted that particular state or you was going to invest. It honed in your skills of research because it was so different. Each state was so different. Each county was so different. Okay. So I apologize. My phone's a distraction. All right. So here they give you a disclaimer. I want to read the disclaimer because you know they be dead serious with the disclaimer. We're gonna read the disclaimer and then we're gonna go to section 5, page 5, section C, the bidding procedures. Let me see what they say about the procedure. And if I could get this bigger on the screen. Here go a disclaimer. Hold on. I didn't want to download it. I'm gonna have to download it so I could be bigger. Give me a second, guys. Maybe I could download it to a PDF and it's gonna be bigger for you guys. Okay, bear with me. So it's small. We're gonna read this disclaimer together because they'll put it on you. They'll say, "We are not responsible. Do your due diligence." So let's just get into this right here. Disclaimer: Welcome to the Piedmont County 2024 tax lien sale. This is a publication of delinquent real estate taxes held in pursuit of the Arizona Reserve Statute. So you want to go into this statute, Title 42, Chapter 18, Article 3. They're giving you the law. All you got to do is do this right here. You see what I actually just did? And go look up that law. Start there. Like, okay, this is what pursuant to this. And you want to use different resources because as I explained to you before, first resource, like first level resources versus secondary resources. First level resources is considered straight from the state website, the one that's going to give you the law. The secondary resources is lawyer websites. They're going to get they're very credible, but that's not a primary resource. But they may be an easy read. They may be readable. You see how I'm saying? Sometimes different resources are read different, especially when it comes to the law. We explain this. You can be reading a document that is giving you the breakdown of the law, and the whole paragraph is inconsecutive. It just doesn't make sense. It's like a jumble of sentence, and it's because they're taking different parts and say, "See here, see here, see here." So you have to go in and see there, and it makes sense, and you have to fill it in. I know that it can be monotonous, but there are other ones that break it down for you. So sometimes it's good to look at the local specialist website because it'll help break down some of the complications of the primary resource. Which is primary resources is what I call the level 1 resource. Okay. Now, this was a primary resources. To those of you who are new to this type of sale, here we go. I would like to make clear the manner in which this sale will be conducted, exactly on what you are bidding and what you will receive in the event you are successful in the purchase of the tax lien on the property. You are not bidding on the amount that you wish to pay in order to obtain certificate of purchase. They're not giving you a certificate of purchase here. It's different. Certificate of purchase is actually what you get usually after tax lien sale. You are bidding the rate of the interest that you are willing to accept on your investment. The amount printed in the newspaper are the base taxes, interest, penalties, and any fees due through February 2024. You are not purchasing property, but a tax lien agent, the property in the amount of your investment. But the tax lien against, I do apologize, not agent, the tax lien against the property. So you're just basically bidding on the interest, on the tax lien amount, not the interest. Okay, you're just gonna be paying them pretty much for the tax, the money that's due. This is a little disheartening. Let me finish read this. I can't believe them. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Why would you invest? But let's get into this. In the absence of any future payments by the property owner, your certificate of purchase allows you to make subsequent payments of delinquent taxes, meaning that the ones that come up after that, you'll just show them, I already have interest, I'm going to pay. You see, so that's good. This amount will be added to your initial investment and continue to draw interest at the same rate of the original bid. If you bid at zero, zero. Okay, until such time as the tax lien is redeemed or the foreclosure action result. Foreclosure reaction action result right here. So basically, that's giving you a heads up that you may have to do a judicial foreclosure, meaning you'll have to basically take them to court. You'll have to do a formal foreclosure with a lawyer. Okay, keep that in mind. Formal foreclosure could cost you between $2,500 to $5,000. especially in a market like this. So you want to keep that in mind right at the beginning. If you have a $25,000 or $20,000 to invest, you want to put $5,000 to the side and say, well, this is going to be part of the foreclosure just in case. This is how I think, because it do give you time over the 3 years to keep building money, but that monies may need to go to the other tax certificates that you will have to pay for. Does that make sense? You want to start strategizing to win, at least if you're gonna play around with this particular state. So here's more information pursuant to the Arizona revised statute. They give you a section. You must hold the certificate for a period of 3 years from the date of the original offer before initiating the action in Superior Court. You are advised to investigate prior to you bidding to determine whether the property will be sufficient use or value to you should you be in a position to obtain a deed at some future date. There, this is very great. This is very good. It's very transparent. Okay. Legal descriptions are obtained from the assessment and tax roll generated by the county assessor. You know why they highlight that? Because the legal description is exactly where the house is going to be. That's the legal identity of the property. You can have an address. The address on the tax lien on the tax assessor's office, that address may not be correct. I already shared a story with you guys where thank God it wasn't too off, but the address said one street, but the description put the property somewhere else. Okay. So we had to figure that out, get a survey, look for the old survey, contact the people next to them. Just was a little process. So let's keep that in mind. Now, so this is where you'll get the legal description. Very important. Please look for the legal description versus the address. If I don't share anything else, that's important. Who does not guarantee the descriptions are completely or entirely correct, and they still don't guarantee it, but the description should be more accurate than the actual address. You are advised to independently verify the legal description prior to bidding. Otherwise, difficulties, including obtaining title insurance, may occur in connection with foreclosure. In the event of bankruptcy procedures, either before or after the sale of the lien, there is no guarantee that the purchase of the tax lien will be refunded. His or her entire purchase amount, receive the anticipated interest, or receive any interest whatsoever. The United States Bankruptcy Court will make the determination. So basically, when the person is in bankruptcy, they have a trustee that is going to be over their particular account, and that trustee will make the decisions of what get paid and what don't get paid. And this is why I always talk about you guys looking for bankruptcy procedures or proceedings. I do apologize, related to the property you are interested in. It is like a 10-minute research. You could go right on Pacer. I'll pull Pacer up for you guys. I pulled it up before. I'm not going to show. I could show y'all to pull up a bankruptcy case, but I don't want to pull up people information. But you can pull up bankruptcy cases, okay? So they telling you, in the event you may not get your money back in the bankruptcy case, because it's up to that trustee in the bankruptcy procedures to say what is most important to get paid, okay? So now this is great. This is nice. They gave you a good disclaimer here. In the event a property has been split from another property with delinquent taxes, there may be tax liens prior to superior or 1 year on the year you purchase. So it says if an event that has the property has been split from another property with delinquent tax liens. What does they mean? Do two properties are connected to each other? Or do they mean that you are advised to research such genealogies? Oh, okay. So let's say, for instance, they have one, like a parcel of land, one owner, and then they split it. For instance, I was saying to my kids, I'm gonna buy a big piece of land and then we're gonna split it up. So y'all have y'all land house there, I have mine there. So there'll be 3 sets of taxes that'll be due. So if my taxes is good, the other person's tax is good, and yours not, but it's all connected, then this is something you got to pay attention to. Okay, because this can happen in Arizona. Does that make sense? That's why you got to read. They gave us a great disclaimer here. It made me think like, what? Oh, yes, I can see how that can happen. So also due to replating, conveyance, etc., real estate may have different legal descriptions and or different parcel numbers for different tax years. This is why you go to the archive, the land archive department. Try to get as much information as possible. They will give it to you. But that by the time you go to land archive department, I think you got to be really serious because I know the land archive department in Maryland charge $30 for me to get the land survey and everything that's archived on the property. But I did that after, but it just depends. Some people they have it free. I should have asked them, like, do you have it free online? I didn't ask them, but I wanted a copy at that point. So does that make sense? So that's why I was like, pay the $30. All right. So now let's get down to the bottom. This is the one. The one is great. You are advised that pursuant to the law of state of Arizona, specifically ARS, they give you 42 dash the number here in the event a person to whom the tax lien has been sold fails to pay the amount due and the sale has closed, the Treasury may recover the amount bid by civil action in court. You heard that? Did you hear what they just said? If you bid and you don't pay, they may come after you. They are crazy. Ooh, I ain't messing with Arizona. Okay, I ain't messing with this counter. Pete, my counter ain't playing. Let's get to page 5 so we can start wrapping this up. This is going to go into bidding procedures. And this is what we're going to see what they say about that because ooh. Hey, I'm sorry that you went through what you went through with Arizona. I can understand. When I went over Arizona before, I went into this, how complicated some states can be, and how you really need to be careful. You have to be careful, okay? So let's start to wrap up this. The bidding procedures. In 2014, tax liens will be held online and hosted by realauction.com. Okay, so you can do a little short video to figure out how to use realauction.com and how to register too. Tax lien will be offered for sale by the corresponding sequence number for each parcel in the order they appear in the newspaper. Liens will be segregated in batches to facilitate the bidding process. I don't know how the batches are put together, but you want to figure out, I don't know if they're by jurisdiction, but you want to figure it out so you'll know where to look for your property. The bidding will start. So we already know we're not bidding on premium. It's not a premium state. It is what? A bid down. What do they say here? Look at that. Because I'll be like 10%. The bidding will start at 16% and must be in 1% increments. A zero bid is acceptable. The successful bidder must pay the entire amount due date indicated under the bidding rules or our auction website on realauction.com. You are advised that pursuant to the law of our state, Arizona, they give it to you again. Just Google it. In the event a person to whom tax lien has been sold fails to pay the amount due and the sale has closed, the Treasury may recover the amount by civil action in court in the complainant jurisdiction. The sale continues until all liens are sold or the batches are closed. The auxiliary session will start an hour after the final batch close and will close at 5 p.m. The auxiliary section will include all parcels that were not sold during the regular sale. All sales are final. Wow. Let's go into here. Arizona. I'm so sorry, Boofy. You did Arizona? I wouldn't do Arizona. I'm not about to play with them. Let's get down to the last part. I want to get more into this. This is amazing. Okay, amount of purchase. Now look at this. They got fees. This is why you must know you're going to get the property, and that property better be worth something, okay? Because this right here is a lot. Okay, so this is what we're reading. The amount printed in a newspaper represents the total amount, which includes the base taxes amount, interest occurred through February 2024, and penalties. The additional fees include $10 certificate fee and a non-refundable processing ring from $1 to $10 per parcel. So $10 certificate fee plus $1 per parcel. So it's $1 to $10 range. Why? What do they base that on? It's dependent upon the purchase amount. So it depends on the purchase amount, as well as any outstanding NSF fees unpaid at the time of the sale. Non-sufficient fund fees. I guess if they had non-sufficient fund fees, you may have to pay that. Unpaid at the time of the sale, and the refundable fee charged by real auction. So real auction has a fee that you have to pay too. Wow. So the county processing fees are assessed as follow. For a purchase amount less than $50, the fee to you is $1. For a purchase amount of $200, your fee is $5. Any purchase amount greater than 200 or greater will be $10. The fee charged by real auction is assessed per delinquent tax lien year, and it's the following. For an amount less than $50, there is no fee for the year. For the amount between $50 and $200, there's a $5 fee for that year. Any amount greater than $200 will carry a $10 fee. So there's some fees that you'll have to pay on top of investing. And why did I go in reading all of that? Because I want you guys to go in and read all of that. You have to, so you guys can be safe in this particular process. Now, I'm going to remove this off the screen. The reason why I went into this particularly, because we did have a member that talked about his hardship with investing in Arizona. And I was a little confused. I'm like, huh? But I would assume from the beginning, you should have understood that it was a bid down state and that you were bidding down on the interest and that you possibly will not receive any interest if you went down to 0%. In any state, I'm going to be honest, that have this much fees and this much issues to me, because like you bringing the issues, all these fees, I don't want it. So, I mean, everybody else is comfortable. Maybe our Arizona is the state for you because it's beautiful, or maybe it's something geographically you love that you feel like, this is the state of interest. But my best advice to you, if you're going to invest in Arizona, make sure that you can redeem the property. Okay. So I want to say I love you guys, and I hope this information session was great. If you have any particular topics that you want to talk about, any questions, please join the Facebook group. I know some people are not comfortable putting all the questions out there, but you can do it. You can inbox me, or you can get into the chat that we have. We have specific chats that says, what do you want to ask? And I think, did I wanted to show you something? I did show y'all the website and where y'all can get the bid down form, so y'all can start understanding about the different bidding methods. So that actual form goes over the different type of bidding methods, not just the bid down method, so you can understand premium bidding and other type of bidding forms that we'll go over in the future. So I think that's all we have to share. We're 55 minutes in. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I want to say I'm grateful because honestly, this is like our 4th-year anniversary. I'm gonna be honest. I've been pushing this for 4 years. So this is our 4th-year anniversary. This is like my 4th Thanksgiving, my 4th birthday being with you guys. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here, Will Ashley, and thank you for being part of the buyback team.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.